Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, and welcome to the second installment of my Q&A series. This is a series where I take any of your questions as long as they're World of Warcraft related, and I answer them in video form. We have a lot of great questions for this one, so let's get to it. First up, we have a question on Patreon from a longtime viewer and friend, JMac. His question is, what is my biggest concern at this point with Legion and the overall health of the game? This is a great question. I actually addressed it very briefly in my Legion review, but I think it's worth going into more detail. As most of you probably already know by now, I look upon Legion very favorably. I think it's a great expansion so far. The leveling, the story, dungeons, raids, Mythic Plus, world quests, PvP, I like most things from it. The only worry I have for Legion and the overall health of the game is going to be the support that it receives. Now, most people will tell you that Draenor is the worst expansion yet. Some will say it's because of Garrison, some will say the PvP was bad, and so on. While any of that may or may not be true, I say that the main thing that dragged down the Warlords of Draenor expansion was the support that it got, or the lack thereof rather. To put it bluntly, the support for this expansion was terrible. Once again, I mentioned this in the Legion review, but there was a lot of cut content from Draenor. Zones, whole raid tiers, world bosses, battlegrounds, arenas, and much more. I'll actually have a link in the description if you want to see a full list. One thing you guys got to keep in mind is that no matter how much a potential an expansion may have, if half the content gets cut and it doesn't receive a major patch for 13 months, it's going to be bad no matter what. Imagine, for example, if the Burning Crusade, which is seen by many to be the prime of World of Warcraft, didn't have heroic dungeons, Black Temple, Flying Mount, Shadowmoon Valley, Kha'Zix, Eye of the Storm, and it didn't get a patch for 13 months. If that was the case, chances are that most people would say that it would have been a pretty bad expansion. So that's my only worry. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think Legion is a 100% perfect expansion. It does have some problems and things that I don't agree with, but I do think that it has a ton of potential to be ranked among the best expansions along with the Burning Crusade and, in my opinion, Wrath of the Lich King. So hopefully they learned something from Draenor. I'm hoping that there isn't too much cut content, and that we'll be getting major patches at most 3 months apart from each other so this expansion gets the support it needs to be great. Anyways, next up we have a question from Neotech. He asks, what did I enjoy in vanilla WoW more so than current WoW? Another good question. Now first off, just let me make something clear. I do prefer the game in its current state rather than vanilla. There were a lot of great things with vanilla, but a lot of the time people don't remember the bad things too. Like the 10-hour battleground queues, for example, at least on my server anyways. I'd say if I had to pick a single thing, it would be the community. Over time, as we've gotten these tools of convenience such as the Dungeon Finder, LFR, Cross-Realm Zoning, Cross-Realm Battlegrounds, and so on, we've sort of lost that social aspect and sense of community that we used to have. It's one of the biggest things I miss because it was a huge part of the game back then. Like, you would recognize everyone. You'd be walking around Ironforge and see one of the bigger guilds getting ready to set off for Molten Core. You would see that guy you always do dungeons with, another guy that's always posting on the forums, and so on. I used to be able to recognize everyone. You were able to build a reputation and connect with other people more easily. It seems like you can't really do that these days. Everyone I see is a completely new name due to cross-realm zoning. Dungeons are so easy that you don't even have to say a single word, so you never connect with anyone. It seems like the only bastion that remains is limited to your guild chat. That's one thing I think that a lot of people who started playing post-Wrath of the Lich King missed out on, and I don't see how people are able to find friends in this game unless you join a raiding guild. Because outside of that, with all of these quality of life changes, there's basically no communication required. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the Dungeon Finder and LFR are bad things and they should be taken out. I'm just saying that along with these systems came some degradation of something that's very important to an MMO, and that's the social aspect. Next up, we have another one from my good friend JMac. He asks what add-ons I use, or if that's too many, maybe just list the ones that a lot of people don't know about. I was actually planning on making a video for this since it is a question I get a lot, so I can sort of knock out 2 birds with 1 stone here. I do use a ton of add-ons. I'll just mention the most notable ones for the sake of brevity. My UI is all done through Bartender. This is a really versatile action bar add-on. You can choose up to 10 bars, change how many buttons are displayed. It has quick key binding. You can save and load profiles to set up your alts quickly, and much more. It's an add-on that I consider to be a must-have, and it's one I've had since vanilla, I think. The bar on top is Titan Panel. This one is really handy for quick information such as coordinates, gear durability, total gold across every character, gold per hour, XP per hour, and so on. It's a very lightweight, slick add-on, and it's one of my favorites. For my bags, I use Bagnon. This amalgamates all of your bags into one giant bag. I greatly prefer this over the default style, and I find it much easier to organize and search for stuff. It works for your bank, void storage, and guild storage as well. And it also has a handy feature to see those when you're not near the corresponding NPC. The minimap add-on is called Sexy Map. This one is a recent addition. This allows you to make your map as big or as small as you want. You can also change its style and move it around. I got this mainly for looks, but it is nice to have if you don't like the default size and position of your normal minimap. My chat box add-on is called Chatter. Once again, I got this one mainly for looks. You can change the font of the text and you can also organize your channels better. There are a ton of different options you can mess with, and I think it's the staple chat box add-on. I guess that's it for the non-obvious stuff like DBM, Handy Notes, Altaholic, etc. I do want to show you Auctioneer as well, but it's not updated for 7.0 yet. But I'll have links to all of these add-ons in the description, so definitely check that out if any of this piqued your interest. Next up, we have a question that really wasn't asked by a single person, but it is hands down the one I get asked the most, so I thought I'd cheat a little here. And that's, why are you so monotone? This is one that I get pretty much on a daily basis at this point, and I really don't have an answer for it other than it's just me. I've always been very monotone, even back in school when I had to read something in front of a class or introduce myself or whatever. It's the way I've always been, and it's something I'm comfortable with. It's never from a lack of effort or anything like that when I make these videos. If you want to know the truth, the voiceover is sometimes the most time-consuming part because I tend to re-record a lot if I don't like the way I delivered a line. If I were to artificially change my voice or add excitement, I would feel like I would be fake and disingenuous to you guys and to myself as well. I mean, I'm very capable of making every video like this. Hey guys, what's going on? Mad Doubles here, back with another gold guide for you. But really, how long would you be able to listen to that? And obviously that's a huge exaggeration, but still for me, even deviating a little bit just wouldn't feel right. I'm sure most of you watching this are subscribed to me, and therefore you either like my voice or you at least don't mind it. It's just who I am, and it was something that I was pretty self-conscious about when I first started making these videos back in 2014, but from the wonderful comments and compliments you guys leave me, it's something that I've accepted. And I kinda like it because in a sea of PewDiePie-esque style of videos, it kind of makes the channel a little unique, I think, to be able to do a calmer, more straightforward style. And that's not bagging on anyone else either, by the way. Everyone has their own style, and that's a good thing. If every channel was exactly the same, it would get pretty boring, I think. At the end of the day, I just like making videos since that's my passion, and I like World of Warcraft. Combining the two is just something that I love doing every day. Artificially altering my voice would be stepping out of that realm, I think, and it's something that I just wouldn't feel comfortable with. Now, could it get me more viewers and subscribers? Honestly, it probably could, but it's not something important enough to change who I am and disappoint the 15,000 who are subscribed to me who like the way my videos are now. Just know that it's never from a lack of effort or that I don't care about the quality of the videos, it's just who I am. Anyways, next we have another question from Patreon, and that's from The Sweep. He asks, what is with my look? I rock a very specific transmog and it's even in my artwork. This is also a question I get a lot, usually in the form of an insult, but to answer your question, it's from Vanilla. Back in the day, as I'm sure a lot of you know, there weren't any tier sets for DPS warriors. Might, Wrath, and Conqueror were all centered around tanking, so if you were a DPS warrior, you had to grab a variety of random offset DPS plate items for your gear. This particular set that I'm wearing is best in slot for up to the early game of AQ40 minus the weapon. Now I actually mainly played a rogue in vanilla, but my brother played a warrior. This is the set that he had before he quit the game, and it's one that I always thought looked unique and funny. He actually had the Hand of Ragnaros as well, but you of course can't transmog that, so I just went with the Extinguished Hand, as you can see. People would call him the Rainbow Warrior since it looks so ridiculous. I've never seen anyone else use it, so I thought someone had to represent it. So yes, I do know that it looks stupid and silly to most people, but that's sort of the goal. It's something that I don't plan on changing anytime soon. But I guess that's about it for Q&A number 2. There were a lot more great questions, but I do have to cut it off at some point. For Q&A number 3, go ahead and leave your questions in the comments of this video. And if you're a supporter on Patreon, go ahead and leave them on that site. Either on the Q&A thread or somewhere else on there. I'll be able to find them. I hope you enjoyed watching because I certainly had fun making it. These are always fun to make because I get to step out of the norm, which are the guide-based videos. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. Give it a like if you liked it, and if you really liked it, let me know in the comments and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, good luck, and peace.